Hi there, guys. This is Vinney Chopra. Please raise your hand if you could see me and Michael. Could you say, oh, there we go. Hi, Francine. How are you? Oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, Francine, I gave you the mic. Are you able to listen and watch us? Hello?
Hello,
Hello, how are you? Good.
I'm good, thanks.
You're so
Excited about
kind.
the course today.
Thank you. Thank you. And Francine, welcome. Harish, welcome. Albert, welcome. Annabelle, welcome. Bill, welcome. Johnny, welcome. Julius, welcome. Tuheen, welcome. I know lots of people will be coming. 167 accredited investors have registered for this webinar. We are recording it too, also, by the way. So, you'll be able to get a recording, those who will be joining as we talk and so on. If anybody would like to, Harish, hello, Harish ji, how are you? Allowed to talk. Hello, Harish.
Hello, hi, Vinny.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. Thank you so much. It's going to be fantastic. And again, you'll be able to watch the whole presentation, and we'll be able to promote it also. It's for accredited investors only, this whole webinar, because this way it's a 506C, and we can advertise, talk about returns and all those great things. And let's just get started. I think it's 9:02, and everybody's time is very, very precious. We'll keep on having more people join us. Glad you have joined us today, this morning, Saturday morning. Hope you are excited, and amazing opportunities, save on taxes in still 2024. That's what we are excited about. Only few days are left, but you will be able to save a lot of money and taxes and all that. I paid a lot of money this year. That's why I'm so fired up about this project. So presented by Vinney Smile Chopra. Some of you might know me, some of you may not. And Michael Circle, my friend, my partner. Again, disclaimer by me and Mike and my team is that please remove all distractions if you don't mind. Cell phones, you could put it on mute, but look it on a laptop or a iPad, because we'll be sharing the screen of the presentation. That will really help. And this is for tax benefits for active income, W2 income, passive income, and dividends. I also do seminars on multifamily, commercial assets, senior living, all those kind of things. Again, I do want to say something. This webinar is for entertainment and educational purposes only. We are not selling a security. And, please consult your attorney, financial advisor, CPA, and all that. We'll be together 1 hour. Just a little bit about me. I'm a humble man, Vinney Chopra. I live near San Francisco in Black Hawk, California. I came to this country with $7 in my pocket and with big dreams. I'm a mechanical engineer from India, arrived in USA many years back, did my MBA at George Washington University. I've been a motivational speaker and fundraiser for 37 years, then real estate broker in 2004, became investor and syndicator and fund manager, started Ideal Investments Group in 2007. Then I started Monil Investment Group 2014. That's our kids' name, Monica and Neil put together. And I went from a duplex all the way to $1.3 billion under asset, and so forth like that. Again, our kids went to Berkeley and UCLA, very pride and joy. I've been married 44 years with lovely wife Kanchan. I'm an author also of 3 sellers on top sellers on Amazon. And I'll be giving those books to you free at the end of the seminar. And again, 40 funds I've done, multifamily portfolios, senior living, hotels, all these kind of different things. 8,500 apartments, 165 spent in education. I really believe in learning the tricks of the trade. And 37 years career in fundraising, motivational 15,000. Anyway, little bit about me. Let's just talk about brother Michael. Michael is a very accomplished gentleman, senior vice president with the King Operating Corporation, executive with over 15 years of experience in alternative investments. He'll be able to answer so many questions that you may have. and specializing in oil and gas and real estate. To be very truthful, I want to record this. I'm recording it. I was very skeptical. I've been skeptical because a lot of horror stories have come, when the oils go dry and the money's not there and people losing money. So, my next door neighbor, very great friend of mine, he told me last year that he put lots of money with this company and saved on taxes. Then I texted him about a month back. He said, Vinny, I'm putting more money with the same company. And then talking to Michael, I found out my very good two friends, one from Fremont and one from Silicon Valley, raised like 7 million and 21 million accredited investors invested with this company. So they have a 26 years of really great record. And that's why, again, I want to declare and say to everybody, I'm investing with them also. I usually don't say that, but I'm investing because I vetted them. And, Michael is amazing. He has successfully raised over 100 million in capital throughout his career. And Mike spent 13 years in real estate syndications. There is a lot of parallel between him and me. And his company has worked over 30 different syndicators and funds in USA. I mean, it's one thing to just work one time, but it's another thing to really raise 100 million, 200 million from accredited investors. So I'm very, very excited, to really meet Michael. Michael, welcome. Welcome, brother.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Vinney. Thank you so much for the introduction. And
Appreciate that. I do
um,
want to say last slide is, thank you for staying till the end of the webinar. We'll do question answers. And also, I would love to give you as a thank you gift my 3 books, which are on Amazon in digital copies and also audible copies for free. And also, Brother Michael is going to give the CEO's book, The Upside in Oil and Gas Investing, for free also, right? Right, Michael?
that's right. So anyone that comes out will mail you out a hard copy as well.
Totally, totally. And then again, we'll do the question answers and everything. So I'll let you share your screen, Michael, at this time. And again, we'll give, different people to ask questions maybe in about 15 minutes from now. Let's get into it. Thank you. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Vinney, and thank all of you for being here today. And I want to wish you guys a happy holidays. And I'm honored to be able to go through King Operating Partners 3 with all of you and show you how to save some taxes for your 2024 year. So let's just get right into it. So these are disclosures, basically, proof that we have lawyers. We're going to send you a copy of this at the end of the webinar with the materials if you request. Now, what it is we're doing is we're currently raising a $100 million fund. We just completed our previous fund, COPI 2, which was a $200 million raise. And what we're targeting here is a 2.3 multiple over a time span of 3 to 5 years. Now, the mix that we're going to do, it's going to be about 1/3 natural gas, 2/3 oil. And there's also going to be a mix of non-op deals as well as partnering with other oil and gas companies so we can have more wells diversified throughout our land. Now, one thing I want all of you to know is that we have already secured the leaseholdership. So you are going to be investing in the wells as well as the divestiture from those wells throughout this process. Now, this is our model: acquire, develop, divest. And the top 3 are the main benefits to you, the investors, which I'm going to go over in significant detail here a little bit later on. So what I'd really like to focus on is just the model. Now, every single oil and gas company does these first 2 steps. They all acquire mineral leases and they all drill wells. So if you guys have ever looked at a private oil and gas deal, you're probably familiar with that. What really makes King stand apart from all the other competitors is the fact that we give a pro rata share to all of the investors. So the leaseholdership, all of the assets, you are an owner of. And that is where our model is really similar to real estate. And that's how we modeled it. Just like in real estate, when you're acquiring a property, you're fixing it up, you're increasing the equity, and then you're selling the asset. We do the exact same thing, but with mineral leases, where we acquire the mineral lease, we drill the wells, which in turn proves up the reserves of the entire acreage, and then we divest the current wells as well as the acreage. Now, on the right, here is a great example we like to use. So what a PDP is a proven developed producer. Essentially, it's a successfully drilled well. And whenever you successfully drill a well, you have what are called PUDs, which are proven undeveloped. And what that means is that we now know that that PUD is going to produce within a reasonable doubt the same amount of oil and gas that that initial well had drilled. So you can actually go to a bank, take out an RBL loan based off of the reserves of those PUDs because they have intrinsic value. So what our whole goal is to basically drill the PDPs, and then the PUDs are really what are going to increase the value of the entire property. And the real estate analogy I like to make here is, let's say if you buy 3 lots of land, and on the lot next to you, they build a $2 million home and it increases the value of that lot, your lot is going to increase in value as well. Now, so from here, we're just going to get right into the properties. And so the first one I want to cover is Bivens Ranch. You're gonna notice when you look at this right away that most of our properties are in the heart of the Permian Basin, but we are extremely excited about the Bivens Ranch, and I'll tell you why. One of the big factors is that we have over 60,000 contiguous acres and over 120 possible drilling locations. So what really makes this property special is that it is big enough that a major oil and gas company would actually look at acquiring it, and having that much running room with 120 drilling locations is amazing. And to tell you a little bit about the formation, I know this might be a little technical, so I apologize beforehand, but the formation does mirror the Bakken Shale, which is where everyone drills in North Dakota. So the fact that it is a Bakken lookalike, we have 2 different areas, the upper canyon lime and the lower canyon lime. One has 120, the other has about 60 possible drilling locations. What we plan on doing here is drilling only 5 to 10% of those locations, essentially proving up the entire acreage, and then selling it off to another oil and gas company that's going to complete it over the next 5 to 10 years. The analogy I like to make there, very similar to developing a neighborhood. If you're doing the horizontal construction, you buy the land, you get it rezoned, you pave the streets, build the spec homes, the clubhouse, and then sell it off to a developer. That's exactly what we're doing with this particular project. We actually have a plan to start drilling or spud the first 2 wells the last week of this year. So those will be 2 wells that we'll be drilling by the end of the year. Now, then we have Vesuvius or Hockley County. They are formerly known as Ring, and this is one of the operations where we have partnered up with Vesuvius, and that is in the heart of the Permian Basin. One of the things I love about this project is the company we're partnering up with just took a piece of property and sold it for over $1 billion, very close to where they're drilling right now. So the team we're working with is extremely experienced in the formation, the acreage position. Here we've actually already commenced drilling. The first 2 wells have already started drilling, and we have between 18 to 20 drilling locations for Vesuvius or Hockley County. Now in Fisher County, this is more of the non-op wells that we've had. We have successfully in prior funds drilled multiple wells here that have well exceeded our expectations. I mean, these have been absolutely outstanding wells. And we actually have 3 wells that we've drilled there that are already completed. And those are partnerships that we have with Browning, which have just been unbelievable wells. Those 2 are also in the Permian. Then we have Rocker Ranch and Giddings, Fayette County. Both of those we plan on drilling wells probably between Q1 and Q2. We just haven't committed to exactly where we're going to drill, but those are 2 leaseholderships that we have that we are going to move on probably a little bit later in 2025. And then this right here, the Bivens Ranch mudlog. So to kind of go over what I was saying before about it being a Bakken lookalike, there are 5 essential elements, and this is again me getting kind of technical, that you look for when drilling a well. And with the comps in the area, we have all 5 of those comps in the Bivens area. So this is really kind of a special project that our owner Jay Young had the connections and the ability to find. Now, these are the 3 main benefits to the partners. And so we're going to go over each one of these in detail on the following slides, but we're offering 100% tax deduction, 9 to 14% in monthly distributions, and then 9 to 14 annual paid out monthly. And then the big value of this project, which is a 2.3 multiple on exit. And I'd say this is the real reason why people move forward and invest in this. The tax benefit is the reason why they look at it. And then once they understand the deal, the multiple is what makes them move forward. So this is to really get into the tax. So on a $200,000 investment, we are using a deduction factor of 75%. The reason why we're using 75% is because in 27 years of being in business, we've never done less than a year 1 deduction of 75. Historically, the last 3 years, we've actually averaged 85%. So what that means is that on $200,000 investment, you'd be able to write off $150,000 against your adjusted gross income. So that's active income, passive income, capital gains, they all fall into that bucket. And that's really one of the things that's special about the oil and gas tax benefit is there aren't many things out there besides maybe charitable donations that can actually go against active income and give you a return. So essentially here on a $200,000 investment, if you are in the highest tax bracket, you will be saving $60,000 or 30% on your investment. So it's like you're only investing 70 cents on the dollar. And then this essentially shows the flow of money. So as our wells generate hydrocarbons and we sell those hydrocarbons, this is where the money goes. So the first 20 to 25% goes to royalty owners. That's industry standard, the owners of the lease. The remaining 15 to 20% goes to lease operating expenses. That's what keeps the rig running, pays for all costs in regards to drilling. Now that remaining portion, 80% goes to you, the partners, and then 20% goes to King Operating. Now, one thing I really like about this is once you receive return of your initial investment is when King Operating is highly incentivized. That's when there's a waterfall that comes into effect where investors now receive 60% and King receives 40%. Now, at the end of this, what I'm also going to cover is, with working with Vinney, we do have an incentive for you to actually receive a bigger chunk of that, depending on your investment, but I'll go over that, at the very end. Now, divestiture methodology. People always ask us, well, who are you selling to? Who are the possible buyers? So we have 2 real possible buyers. One, if someone is looking to package up a series of wells and they may have an income mandate like a family office, private equity, a pension, then those would really be the buyers for a series of packaged up wells. But on our big projects that we're looking like Bivens and Vesuvius, we are looking at other producers, most likely a mid or major, the valuation of 1 to 10 billion, or in the Bivens, it could even be one of the big guys that will come in, acquire the field, and then fully drill it out over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, this is probably my favorite slide on the entire deck. And the reason for that is the number one question that I get here is, well, what is my return going to look like if oil is at $40 or if oil is at $100? People want to see where you're going to land depending on the price of oil. And one of the things I really love about this is because of where we're drilling, even at 40,000 or even at $40 oil, we're still achieving a 1.6 multiple. Now, personally, I'm a big believer that with the demand that we have for energy right now, with all of the data centers, AI, with developing third world countries that have a need for energy, they're saying that we're going to have to double our energies in the next 5 years. I think somewhere between 60 to 80 is most likely where we're going to stay because of the increased demand. But we definitely want to show you all of the possible incomes and what you can expect depending on price. And of course, if it goes over 100, you can expect an even higher gauge there. Now, to go over a little bit of our track record, we have averaged an 8.8% return from 2021 to 2023. Our team has over 200 years of oil and gas experience, and we have drilled thousands of wells. And this next slide pertains to what I was talking about earlier. Our tax benefit has averaged 85%. And some of you might be asking, well, why does it change from year to year, right? So what makes this tax benefit possible are IDCs, intangible drilling costs. And it's a Ronald Reagan bill that was passed in 1984 to promote domestic oil and gas drilling. And how IDCs are calculated are the amount of money that you're actually putting into the ground to drill wells. That is why, I like to tell people that we're probably going to fall somewhere between 80 to 87%. But if you really want to play it safe, you can use a deduction factor of 75% because we've never done less than that. Now, a little bit about who King Operating is. We were founded in 1996, and we have a very large team on the operations side. And one of the things I really like to talk about here is, until 2015, we did the standard model of oil and gas, where we would bring investors in, they would invest in what's called a wellbore interest, where you're only investing in the hydrocarbons that the wells take out of the earth. You're not invested in the leaseholdership or anything like that. And in 2015, Jay decided there had to be a better way where we can really take care of these investors. And he kind of saw how the private equity model of oil and gas, which is really the only thing that duplicates what we're doing. I mean, private equity has been doing this since probably the early 2000s. And that's really what motivated him to write this book. So like Vinney had mentioned earlier, we're offering this book to anyone that wants to read it. And it all talks about how he changed the model with oil and gas. And it's really a great read. It's a #1 seller on Amazon. And if you really want to get a deep understanding of what it is we're doing here, I would definitely recommend reaching out and getting a copy. But Jay Young is a 4th-generation oil man. He's been in the oil business for the last 40 years. And what he really brings to the table is a massive Rolodex of, people he knows, where when you go out with him, you realize Jay knows everyone. And just like any business, when you're looking at selling wells, acquiring wells, finding things that other people aren't seeing, who has a lot to do with it. And another thing that Jay has done a tremendous job with is our executive team. He has found 3 very different individuals that that have very different viewpoints, but do have one commonality, where they all have multiple 9-digit divestitures in the private equity space. So when it comes to selling a large asset, they are very experienced in that, but they have a very different mindset to let him see things at many points of view. So Jimmy Cleveland, this is our chief growth officer. He had experience in the automobile industry. Steve Mulliken was a reservoir engineer for the last 35 years. And, he is really in charge of operations. And then Brian Dutton is our interim CFO. He's also been in the oil space for the last 20 years. Now, on this team, I don't know how many of you have started watching the show Landman, if any, but Bill Phillips is our landman. And then the 2 people I really like to talk about here is Kelly Duncan and Paul Jerome. So Kelly Duncan is our head of drilling. He's the one that's out on the rig as we are drilling. When we're fracking the wells, he's the one that's going out there working with the completions team. And Paul Jerome is our geologist that reads the 3D seismic, essentially tells us where to drill, tells us if it's a good property. And these 2 have drilled well over 2,200 wells together. Another point, I don't know if you've heard him before. So our chief economist is John Malden. He is a world-renowned economist, a New York Times bestseller. And, he has been partnered with us for the last 2 years and gives great input when it comes to pricing and what he thinks are going to happen. And then Rex Gifford is our EVP of tax. For any of you that have tax questions, absolutely get with your accountant. But if for any reason your CPA has questions or has never dealt with IDCs before, Rex Gifford started his career working with the IRS for a number of years. You know, he formerly held a CPA and has now been in the oil and gas industry for 25 years. He works with all of our CPAs that have any questions on the IDCs. And then basically the final steps, where what I really like to cover here is the update. So one of the things that I think King Operating does just about better than any company I've seen is being transparent. Every week we send out what's called a 2-minute drill, where we just send out a 2-minute video of what we did that week so that you can constantly be updated, but not overly inundated with tons of information. We also send out a much more detailed monthly insider newsletter, and then a formal update, a monthly update with the executive team that's about a 20 to 30-minute Zoom that really goes into detail. So for those of you that have never invested in private oil and gas before, I know, staying updated and learning exactly what we're doing is a pivotal part. And that's something I think we very much achieved. And that is, essentially the presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
All right, all right. Thank you, Michael. It's such a pleasure to have you. I hope lots of people got a lot of good, coverage of what this investment is about. Again, it's for accredited investors only, verifiable accredited investors, which is a little different than 506B, where you can just check it off and say, I'm accredited. But this one, you have to show the proof, and so on. So it's a, verifiable accredited investor. We would love to, again, this is the idea which I am very excited about. And we'll be doing another seminar in January, in February, in March also, because I really believe that legally, I love to pay taxes. But it broke the bank in October when I had to pay over $500,000 in tax. Oh my gosh. I just couldn't. And my depreciation from real estate, I've not bought much lately. So the depreciation, cost segregation, negative K1s dried up. So, people are looking for alternative ways. So let's open it up. Please raise your hand. I can see you here. And we had 167 people, I think, accredited investors register. I know a lot of people have reached out to us. There is a conflict, so we are recording this. We'll be sending it to all of you. Actually, we have your email address, so please look for that email also from us later today, so that you could really look into it. The timing is very, very important, just to let you know, because to get your negative 81, 85% or something in K1, which will be given to you in February or so, for 2024, to hedge your income and against your AGI, aggregate gross income, you got to invest and wire the money or write the check post dated by December 31st. Otherwise, it will not work. Secondly, in this particular investment, you are a GP until 31st of December to get the active income loss. I wanted to mention that. It's for your W-2 income, for your dividends, for your active and passive income in your real estate. You could bat it against that, anything for this year, 2024. Of course, when you invest in 25, you'll get the 85 or 80% for 25 year, which we'll be doing it every year. And lots of my other syndicator friends who have done it for over 30 different syndicators and fund managers, like I said in the starting, have been working with King Operating. My close friends have been investing with them. So I'm very excited about it. And I'm investing also myself. I've already sent my money, by the way, right? You got my money, right? Mike. So please raise your hand and I'll bring you in, and please ask questions. So Haresh, hi there. Hi, Haresh. Go ahead, brother.
Hi, how are you? So, what is the minimum investment required?
It's
Oh, great question.
100,000. 100,000 is the minimum, investment. You could go 100, 250, 500 million. Of course, the more you pay, then you will get better splits, After that 80-20, you'll get better, right, Mike? Are there any
Yeah,
other incentives? Yeah.
and actually, can I cover? I apologize. I forgot to cover that. So
Yes.
to just go over that very quickly,
Okay.
if you do invest 100,000 this month, you will get a 65% side letter. So rather than after you get return of your initial investment, it typically waterfalls to a 60-40. What this would do is it would waterfall to a 65-35, which would increase your overall multiple. And then if you do invest an entire unit, you would get the 70-30. So it'd be another 5%, which would increase the overall back end. So that is the kind of the incentive that we have, with Vinney Chopra.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Harish. Any other question you have? Otherwise, I'll bring somebody else also. Sure.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thank you. That was
Oh,
all.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Harish. Anybody else? Please raise your hand. Bo, brother, my brother, I do a show with Vinny and Bo. I've known him for 9 years, and we do a show every Friday. Bo, what comes to your mind, brother? Bo, are you there? Okay, I just gave him permission. Anybody else? Raise your hand. Bill, if you have any question, brother. Bill? Hello, hello. Okay, maybe you did such a good job, Michael. What can I say?
No one has
Looks like maybe Harish wants again. Harish, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm not.
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay, okay,
good.
okay.
I'm good. Thank you.
Alrighty, I think we did a great job, guys. If you have any more questions,
Oh, I see too, Vinny. I see Joshua. I see.
Joshua. Okay, let me catch Joshua right there. Joshua, right there. Hi, Joshua. Please go ahead.
Hey, Vinney. Hey, Michael. Thank you so much for that presentation. I did have a quick question. And forgive me if I missed this. What is the total hold period for the capital?
It's 3 to 5 years.
3 to
3 to
5 years. Got it.
Yeah, three
Perfect.
to
Thank you
five
so
years,
much.
Josh. The key thing is, I just like in real estate, right? I've been putting money into the real estate, commercial real estate, multifamily. Usually 3 to 5 years, people want to get the money back, then reinvest again. Thanks. Very good question. Thanks, Josh. Anybody else has a question? Okay, let's see. Oh,
I see.
yeah. Hi, Shweta. How are you? Oh my gosh. Shweta, you are on the podium. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Hello, Vinny. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for the presentation. My question was, how many recent deals have you guys exited in the past, I guess maybe 3 to 5 years?
Mhm. Great question. So we did successfully exit, our first, like our pilot program in 2015 for a 3x. And
Okay.
then after that, our next one came in during COVID that we completed really at the end of 2020. So our next two funds after that are still progressing. I mean, they're doing very well. We just haven't gone full cycle with them yet.
Got it. Got it. So if I'm understanding this right, as long as the oil is being produced, I guess after you get back your initial investment, it's like as long as the oil produced, that's how the investors get their equity multiple.
No. So I apologize. So where all of the value is going to come is when we divest and sell these assets. So the
Okay.
entire goal is actually to build up the asset value. So as we drill a well, it is going to produce what are called PUDs or reserves. And
Uh-huh.
our whole model is to prove up the reserves of a property, really show proof of concept, and then sell it off to like a mid-size or major producer that is then going to fully develop the field. So the monthly revenue is only going to be a small portion of what you receive, where the largest portion is going to be from the divestiture of assets later on down the road in between that 3 to 5 years.
Okay. So the biggest value is at the exit. All right.
Exactly. Yes.
And also, Shweta, like 9 to 14% is pretty darn good. Like in multifamily, we are not able to give even 6, 7%. Last 3 years have been so tough, so tough.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I've not invested much at all. I've been selling at the peak my portfolio and returning money. I think I've returned $24 million back to investors just this year, and we are, yeah. Thank you for your question. Very nice question. Who else would like to have a question? Please wait. Oh, Jay. Hello, Jay. I brought you on the panel. Please ask your question.
Yes, Vinney, thank you for the webinar. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Totally.
I had a question. When investing in oil and gas, when would I begin to see the return on the active producer?
Great
Very good.
question. Great question. So because we just started on November 11th raising, it does take time to put the money into the ground and get oil coming out. So we are expecting the first distribution to be somewhere in May and June. And the other part that I would tell you as well is it will be a ramp up, right? Where I wouldn't expect 9% to be that very first month. I'd say it'd take a couple months to get there. But we do expect distributions to start in the May to June area.
Wow. 2025.
Thank you. I had another question. What are the risks associated with investing in oil and gas?
Very good. Yes.
Great
Excellent.
question. So this is probably one of the most common questions that I get. And when you're investing in oil and gas, there are two main risks that you encounter. One is the price of oil and gas, which is completely out of your control. And number two is the overall operator skill. So to kind of go into some more detail here, with the way we drill, we're doing horizontal drilling, which that's when you go in, you do a horizontal drill across a formation, and then you frack it. With where technology has gotten these days, we have something called 3D seismic, where we're actually able to see exactly where the hydrocarbons are in the earth. So we know when we're drilling that there is oil down there. What the real question comes down to is how much of that oil are we going to be able to extract? And that's why I would say operator skill is one of the biggest reasons. And when it comes to price, I'd like to tell a little quick story. So in 2015, we started our pilot program. I don't know if any of you on here remember what happened to oil and gas in 2015, but that is when everyone was going to North Dakota. They were all drilling. I mean, you probably heard about it. There wasn't enough housing out there. And what happened was OPEC saw exactly what was going on, and they realized that North Dakota had a higher break-even point than they did. So what they decided to do was flood the market, artificially drop the price in order to put all of those companies out of business, which is exactly what they did. Well, during that time, we were in Texas in our pilot program, and because we had infrastructure, transportation, our break-even price was substantially lower than $45. And during that time, were we doing great distributions? Absolutely not. But we were solvent. We held out, because one thing that you've seen true at oil and gas is when oil goes down, it always rebounds back up. And in 19 months, we were actually able to sell that asset for a 3x. So the reason I tell that story is I think our model, one of the reasons I really enjoy working here, and I believe in this product, is we have hedged the risk against price, I think, as much as you can with an oil and gas company.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, for asking.
One more question, please, Vinney. Sorry.
Please. Yes.
Yeah. When investing in oil and gas, should I invest in just one well?
So when you're investing in oil and gas, if you invest in one well, I would say there is definitely a degree of risk there, because if anything goes wrong with that well, I mean, let's say they mess up and then you could lose 100% of your investment other than the tax benefit. The big reason why we diversify, we're targeting 10 to 14 wells in here, or even if you invest in a well and it slightly underperforms, you want to be investing in a multitude of wells, so that way you're diversified. And if some underperform, some overperform, your investment is still looking strong overall. So the people that typically invest in one well, I feel like they're either looking for a huge return or they're gonna lose it all. That's historically what I've seen from one wells.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Multiple wells. This is $100 million fund. Thank you. Very good question, JJ.
Thank you, Jay, for your questions. Those were
all. You're welcome. Thank you for the presentation. Fantastic presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please, we still have some more time. If you have some more questions, please raise your hand. I'll bring you on the top right there. And very good questions. Everybody's
Very
asking very nice questions. Pramod, any question, brother? Pramod, my friend. Yeah, from Chicago.
Hello, Vinney. Hi, are you
Hi,
able to?
hi. So good to have you. All right. Yes.
Thank you, thank you. Right now at this moment, I don't have any question, Vinney,
Uh-huh.
and this is relatively new kind of investment or venture for me. So I'll have to do a little bit of research on this.
Sure.
But
Sure.
definitely, it's for future. This is one of the avenues that I may have to research a little more. But thank you
Good.
for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. If anybody has any questions, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Huh?
Yeah, one last question
Oh,
from me,
sure,
Vinney.
sure.
So do we get to choose what funds, sorry, not the fund, what wells we can participate in? Like, do the investors get to choose, or you're just putting the money in a fund and then the operators get to choose where your money goes to?
Good question. Very good question.
That's a great question. So, these are the wells. And so you are going to be participating in all of these leaseholderships, right? So we have already acquired these leaseholds. So coming into the fund, you're going to participate in not only these wells, but the land that we have within the wells as well.
Hmm.
So it is all inclusive. It's not like, okay, I want to be part of Sunlight or I want to be part of Rocker. Everyone that invests in this fund is going to be included on every property.
Ah, excellent. And then your team with 200 plus years of experience they are the deciding which wells may produce a much better returns. And that's why this $100 million fund started in November, and now it's going to be drilling new wells. Thank you, Shweta, for answering. I mean, asking some good question, and Michael for answering.
I have one more question, Vinney.
Please.
So with the onset and the increasing in market share of EVs, how does that impact the oil and gas price going forward 3 to 5 years, and then how does that translate to the impact on your returns here?
Good. Mhm. Sure. Please.
Yeah, that is an outstanding question. So one thing that I find very interesting is in order to create a Tesla battery, it actually takes 850 barrels of oil to just make one Tesla battery. So, even with the growing EVs, I think a lot of people, we have a lot of people in our office that actually have Teslas. And I think Teslas are amazing. They have great technology within them. But, I don't think a lot of people, what people realize is that Teslas still have a very large carbon footprint. And with the EVs and the ESG movement, there is still going to be a massive increase in need for energy. I mean, and I briefly talked about it, but to give you a few more examples with data centers. I mean, right now, the cloud, I saw the statistic, takes up more energy than the entire world produced in 1920. And now with growing AI, this need for energy is going to massively increase. So I think even if every single person switched to an EV car, one, the grid wouldn't be able to withstand it where we're currently at. We'd have to completely redo the grid. But there would still be such a massive need. We are not too worried about that. And one other part I would like to mention is natural gas. So because we are a 1/3 natural gas, 2/3 oil, right now in Europe, the price of natural gas is going for about 5 times what it is here in the United States. And a big reason why that is because we have not been able to open up LNG facilities, liquid natural gas facilities. And I do think under the current administration, he is going to allow their permits to open up where now we'll be able to send that natural gas internationally to Europe, to Africa, to China, essentially all across the world, which will take the demand just from the United States to an international demand, which will increase the price of natural gas.
Excellent. I hope this was good. Any follow-up questions? I know there is somebody with iPhone, I think, has a question. Please go ahead.
Hey, Vinny, it's Harry. So Mike, I'm sorry, I missed what was the break-even number for you guys to want to pump gas? I know 40 to, I saw the 40 to $100 kind of
Yeah,
multiple
so
ranges that you guys would get, but what's the break-even that you guys
the
dictate
break
when it
even is right
makes
around
sense?
right around $30.
$30. Okay.
30 bucks. And then the working, so this is like and I joined a little late, so I do apologize. So the structure here is you have a working interest. You guys are gonna drill those wells, you'll put 100 grand in, you get 30 to 40% back from your AGI, fine. Or I think it was a bigger number, but whatever, call it 30, 40%, and then you get 9 to 14% return starting 6 to 9 months later. And then your plan is to sell the land and the kind of rigs, and that's the way you make that 2x multiple.
That's correct. So really what we're selling are the reserves, right? When you drill a well, I mean, anytime a well is drilled, there are two PUDs and you're building up the reserves that are in that formation. So the big value are going to be the wells that haven't been drilled yet. I mean, if that makes sense. So you'll get, and by the way, our projection does not include the tax benefits. So that, 2.3x does not include the tax benefit, does include the monthly revenue. And yes, you're exactly right. It's through the divestitures we plan on getting the total return.
Okay, and in terms of dry wells, I'm assuming that's not really a thing for you guys, given all
No.
the technology. And how many different wells are you looking at that are
Between
included in this?
between 10 to 14 wells.
And then how do you value what they're worth in 3 to 5 years?
So what we will do, I mean, we're doing this on our fund that just closed. We're having a third-party independent company come in and do a full-blown, essentially, reserve report and analysis. Because when you have these kind of reports, you can take them to a bank and actually take out a loan based on your reserves. So that is how we get the valuation. I mean, it is bankable. You can go to the bank with it.
I see. Mhm.
Does that make sense?
So it's the valuation of the PUDs and also the side ones, so that, just like the value increases in multifamily, in my case, or hotels or senior livings, with value add, that's what we are doing. We are value adding by drilling the well in the land. Land is there, and with all the experience, then these, right wells, which is 10 to 14 in this fund, will be able to increase the value of the fund. That's what I see. And then 80% after paying all that. But by the way, everything is recorded. So we would love to send it back to you, the whole presentation to everybody. 167 accredited investors are really interested in this presentation. We had about maybe, 30 something at the peak, but we'll be sending it out to everybody. Please go ahead. Anybody else has a question, we would love to answer. If not, then anybody has their hands up, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll just give you the last one. Remember, I presented, I said, there, we would love for you to just scan this thing right there. Please take your phone out now and scan it. And that's where you will get all the 3 books that I promised in the starting of the webinar. Apartment Syndication Made Easy. From a humble guy, $7, I came into this country with up to $1 billion portfolio. I did it. And then Senior Living Investing, which is my new passion. I'm 72 years young. I want to be like this when I'm 82 and 92, because I really believe stimulating your mind and making sure that you're giving value to everybody around you is the main reason to live in this business. And then, in life, Positivity Brings Profitability. That's my 3rd book. And you will get this also, the Upside Oil and Gas Investing hard book. And brother, Michael's office will be shipping out to you, which will be a hard copy. Mine will be digital copy and audio copy. So please scan this and let us know if you want all the 4 books. I think there is a couple of more hands up. I would love to, Jay, Bhai, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Vinney, I had a
No, no,
last
no,
question. Sorry
no. I'm
about that.
so glad you're
Yeah.
asking some very important questions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the question I have, what percentage is the dry well compared to producing well?
Okay.
So the strike point that we've seen is about 92%, right? I mean, is our hit rate. I mean, really, if you're doing, and from that, a lot of the time where we don't strike is if we're doing a test well in an area historically where maybe there's 5 different zones that we're targeting. We'll do a vertical to basically test out all the zones. But when you are doing horizontal drilling with the technology that we have nowadays, you really don't see that many people miss wells. I mean, you might have underproducing, or you might have wells that far exceed your expectations because of how much you're able to extract from that formation. But when doing horizontal drilling, missing is very uncommon. And right now, I mean, to talk about it, I mean, the technology has gotten so much better at the drill bits. We're on Gen 7 fracking. I mean, we've really just evolved on how well we can drill these wells.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Thank you, everybody, for asking.
Oh, Vinney, I think Harish had a question as well.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
I was just asking, how do you how do we get a hard copy book in the mail? You would need our mailing addresses, and how do we go about providing those?
If you could just scan the code and text Vinney, and then just shoot over, Vinney will relay all of that to me as soon as we get off the call, or tomorrow, or whenever you guys get to it. And
Okay.
I will have my team go out and send a hard copy book to any and everyone that would like to get one.
Excellent.
Okay. Also, Vinney, the retirement link does not work. The
Oh,
other
it
two
does
works.
not.
Yeah, it does
Oh,
not work.
oh, retirement, the senior living
Yeah,
book. I
yeah,
apologize.
that one does not work.
Oh, I'm so glad you told me. I'll get my team to fix it right away. Thank you so much. I just want to
Okay, thank
thank
you, guys.
everybody for taking the time. I hope it was helpful to you. And again, God bless you. Happy holidays. God be with you, and safe travels if you're doing. It's such a pleasure, such a pleasure. Michael, I want to thank you for taking time to be in this program. By the way, I'll be doing one in January, one in February, one in March also. So please look forward to, and I hope this will be really good for accredited investors as 2024 and 25 and 26.
Absolutely. And thank you, Vinney, for having me on. It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll be wrapping up and we'll send the recording back to everybody, 167 people. A lot of people had conflicts. They reached out to us. So I'm very, very thankful to everybody who took the time. Next one in January will be during the weekday in the evening. That might be even better. I think Thursday we are looking at about 4 p.m. time. We'll let you know. Thank you again. God bless you. Have a great one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.